Welcome back to another video. So today we're working on the 1999 GSXR 600. Today I'm hopefully going to start the bike, but first of all let's get into the brakes. So now the tank is on. Before I put the rear section on I need to bleed the brakes because I need to get to the rear reservoir, and before I put this screen and the mirrors on I need to get to the front reservoir. So I'm going to bleed the brakes now because then I can fully put the bike back together. First thing I want to do is, on this small pipe, I just want to remove and replace these two hose clamps because they're all a bit perished. I've got some new ones of those to put on. So these are the original ones and these are the new ones. Same, but just black. So first of all, give us all a bit of a clean. I've made sure that the bleed screws are tight, so what I'm going to do is fill this up as much as I can because the majority of this fluid was actually drained out. So I'm just going to give this a clean and I can go ahead and put the new fluid in. So I'm using one of these one-way valves. So on here there's an arrow for the direction of flow. I'll put it into a small bottle and I'm going to do this. So now the pipe is connected to the bleed point. I've undone the bolt slightly. You don't want to do it too much because then it just leaks out, but just crack it off. And now I'm just pumping the brake. One thing I've found is if you sort of pump the brakes, you build a bit of pressure and then crack the bleed screw off, it then sort of forces it out quite a bit better. But here I am just sort of pumping away, trying to get as much air out as I can until that top tube is full of fluid with no bubbles. One thing you need to keep an eye on is to make sure the reservoir doesn't go below the min or below where the tube is, because if it does it just sucks more air in. So just keep, especially at this early stage when you're getting a lot of air out, make sure you don't suck more air into the system. As you can see here, I'm going from side to side, just keep double checking, making sure there's no air in there. As you'll see, I keep pumping the brake, holding the brake, releasing the pressure, and then I'll squeeze the brake and close the bleed valve again. Keep doing this procedure many times. Even at this stage, you can see there's tiny bubbles in the tube, so that's why I just keep doing it until the fluid is solid and there's no more air. As you can see, there are no bubbles. That is just pure fluid in that tube all the way down to the valve. So that is job done. So I've done the same process both sides quite a few times. I've tightened up both the bleed nipples. Everything is clean. I just need to torque the bleed nipples tight and then that is all good to go. So now, as I didn't let this go below minimum at all, I kept topping it up. So I need to top that up, put the cap on, and then that is the front brakes done. So yeah, now I've got a bit of feeling in the brakes. So what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on this Take it for a short ride to start with, see how it feels, and then if this comes down, I'll see if I need to top it up or if I need to bleed the brakes again. This caliper has been off, so some of the fluid has come out, but as you can see there's still a lot of the old fluid in there. So what I need to do is remove this, take the lid off, get as much of it out as I can, and then I'll flush the old fluid through with the new. Before I do this, I'm just going to cover the exhaust and a lot of the areas around it. So I just need to clean the heads of these screws because they're a little bit rusty. Apart from that, that is all okay. So to get rid of the majority of this old fluid, I'm just going to put this in to draw a lot of it out. So now I've got the excess out, I'm just using a cotton bud here to get right in the corners to get any little dirty bits or any old fluid out. So that is now clean, ready for the new fluid. I'm going to fill it to the top. So this has actually got 2 bleed points on this rear caliper. So there's one there and one here. I'm going to start with the first one and do like I did on the front, keep going between the two to make sure it's all out. And the difference with this one is this one still had a lot of the old fluid in, so I need to keep going until it's actually coming out clear. So I've emptied my bottle, so we should see a lot of the old stuff come through first. So again here, just pumping the brake to build up a little bit of pressure before I open it. And then just carrying on pumping it while the bleed valve is open. Just need to top up the fluid again because it's just gone below the minimum. So now I'm just going to try and get a little bit at the other one. This always feels like when you first open it and you don't really see a lot coming out, but it is really effective for getting all the air out, which is why the fluid's going down so quick at this stage, but it just looks like you're not getting anything out. So as you can see there, you got the dirtier stuff in the bottle, and then that's now coming clear with no bubbles. So I had to do that a few times to bleed it through to get a decent flow, but now I'm now going to put it back on this inside one and try it again. One thing you should do, which I didn't mention, is you should put the brake reservoir cap back on loosely. You don't want it tight so you get an airlock, but you just want it sitting on there loosely so nothing sort of spurts out the top. So at this stage it may look excessive, the amount of fluid that I'm sort of just letting pass through, but for the amount this cost, I'd rather make sure there's no bubbles anywhere in the system, just for the sake of a couple of pound. So I'm just going to get that so it's bang on the upper mark, so a little bit more. So that's bang on the upper mark. So now I can put the dust cap back on. I just need to unbolt it to put the screws in. But first of all, I'm going to give them heads a little bit of a clean so I don't like how rusty they are. So I've just used a nylon pad and some WD-40 and they've come up like new. So I've just added the coolant to the bike, so it's taken 2.5 litres. The manual says it takes 2.55. So I have filled the radiator to the top. It says pour it in slowly. So I've done that, and I've now put this to the full line, which is what it tells you to do. So then it says to start the bike, run it, rev it up a little bit, and then you may need to top up either here or the radiator. So I've got a little bit left that should go in the bike anyway, so I can imagine once a bit of air is out, there'll be a bit room for a bit more coolant. So if you're new to the channel and want to see the rest of this rebuild series, you can click the link in the description to take you back to the very start for when I picked up the bike. So I'm now going to try and start the bike. So that is the coolant added, all the electrics back on. That is everything mechanical ready that I need to start the bike. So I'm just going to open the garage door and then we'll get it started, hopefully. So that went surprisingly well, very happy with that. As you can hear, it did struggle a little bit, but it's the first time it's been started in a long time, and since the rebuild, so I wasn't expecting it to be perfect. But yeah, that was the choke, fully closed, and as you can see, as the temperature's going up, I'm gradually opening the choke. So as you can see here, both of the low beams are not working. Both high beams work, but for some reason both of the low beams must have blown, or I have a wiring fault. But yeah, I can imagine it's just the lamps have gone. So I'm just letting the bike get fully up to temperature so I can give it a few more revs. Make sure everything's okay. I've gone around the bike, there's no leaks, everything seems good. But yeah, temperature's coming up now, so I just want to make sure it doesn't overheat. And yeah, I'm going to give it a few more revs and see how it is. So that is all looking very good. When I used to rev the bike before I cleaned the carbs, it was cutting out, it was misfiring, it was doing all sorts, but as you can see there, that is running very smooth. Might need to up the idle adjustment slightly and balance the carbs, but apart from that, I'm very happy with how the bike is running now. As you'll see, there's a bit of smoke coming off the exhaust just where the clean is burning off, but all in all, very happy. So that was the bike up to its normal operating temperature. It held its temperature, which is good. So what I'm going to do now is just short out the thermostat and make sure the fan runs. So I'm now ready to put the rear seat cowl on. First of all, this was a little rubber flap that holds the tank prop, and this was what holds the tool set. I haven't got the tool set, but I'm going to put this in anyway. I'm going to bolt this in. Originally this was riveted in, whereas I've got some small black stainless screws that I'm going to use instead. So that's just a small flap that holds down the end of the tank prop that goes in there. So I'm not overly happy with the finish of this plastic in here, but there's not really a lot I can do about it. So it's covered up by the seat. It's just when you open up the rear seat, you'll see that finish. So before I put this on the bike, I'm just going to give it a quick clean on the inside. As you can see, it's a little bit dirty. I know you're not going to see that, but I'd rather it be clean. There's a few bits on here. So I have ordered replacement stickers for these either side, which I'll do once it's actually on the bike, because they haven't turned up yet. So for now, I just need to give it a good clean and get it on the bike. So a lot of this, where I thought it was dirt, it's actually just the way the plastic is on the inside. So I'm just going to give this side a bit of a clean. It does actually look dirty. So that's now ready to go on the bike. Just got the fixings and grommets and bits that go on with that, so just going to give all this a bit of a clean. So this has got two inserts, one here, two screws in the back, and then two screws in the top. So it should just feed over. Then I've just got 2 more self-tapping screws to go underneath next to the brake light, next to the rear light. And I've got these 2 bungs that go in the actual rear seat. So that is on and secure. Like I say, I have got replacement stickers coming for these on both sides because they're a little bit scratched. So originally I said I was going to put the under tray on here, which is why I cut off the luggage hooks on the underside of this, which means I need to then cut through here. So I'm actually going to leave this stock for now. So it looks better without the luggage hooks. It looks a bit smoother there. I've put the new indicators on, but I think I'm going to leave it like this, standard look for now, and see how I get on with it. So if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the link below in the description for the rest of the series, and I will see you in the next video.